Hello and welcome to Elvenhome, and to this edition which concentrates on scratch building the footbridge and also picks up on a couple of people that made the same suggestion or asked a question actually in response to the last video. For once I've actually planned to do some recording at this point whilst I'm working on constructing the footbridge. Now this build is not like other builds I've done where I've done full plans and then it's a case of just making the thing, in part because I wasn't absolutely sure what I wanted it to look like and which bits of the very large stash of strip styrene, there we go. That is a stash of strip styrene, by the way, that never ever has in it the one piece that I need, which is why it's as big as it is. Every time I need something, I don't have the right size, so I just keep going and buying more. However, what I have done so far is to build the frame, the underframe, which has the 2mm H-beam, and I had hoped I'd be able to use I-beam for the cross members because I think that would be more likely. But unfortunately, they don't make I-beams small enough so that when the I-beam is in the shape of the eye, it would go within the flanges here. So I've just used normal strip styrene. I think that is 2 by 1, 2mm by 1mm wide, I think. And that they've been cut in to create the frame. That is obviously the same length as the mock-up that I made. And this is the girder that's going to go along the long side, so this side here. So that one will sit on this side of the bridge as we look at it going. There we go. And it was only in the last about last half hour I was putting this on and thinking it looks very blocky, and it suddenly occurred to me that of course all I needed to do was to chop the edge off here, and that looks, I think, much nicer. It may give me a bit of a gap at the ends here so that if someone was so minded they could jump off, but I don't think I'm going to worry about it too much because I don't have anybody actually walking across this bridge, and I don't think that's the kind of thing that would have greatly worried the railway in the late 40s, early 50s. So that's got this end. The other one will be done in exactly the same way, but obviously shorter to give space for the stairs to come down from here. And I probably will use the, there we are, just had them to hand, the fencing to provide what will be the end of the bridge and link up to the handrails that are coming up where the stairs join, and I'll see how that all goes together. Once I've built it, I will measure it against a Scenecraft figure again, which I have done once already and it looked okay. If the worst comes, if I really think that this looks too low, then I'll use these handrails, these fencing, and just use the top half to create an additional bit of fencing to go across the top. So that's going quite well. For the flooring, and I need to see what this looks like once it's properly stuck on, I had strips of V-groove. If I bring this into focus, there we go. So strips of V-groove from when I built the walls for the gasworks, and they were a little bit too big, and I've cut into 2 halves because I think it's just I couldn't get one piece that was the right length, so we've done it in 2 halves, and they will fit in here. They fit between the tops of the I-beams. The thing that's worrying me a little with this though is that I think it's very flimsy, and even once it's stuck either side, I think it may move up and down, so I may have to put something across the top to act as a brace and to hold everything tightly in place. So that's what I'm getting to at the moment. What I want to be able to do is to get these mounted on here one side and the other, and paint it up before I attach the end pieces. I've got to attach a block underneath this hole here, because that will provide the base for the stanchions that will be holding up this end of the bridge. And I've also got to work out how I'm going to affix the piece that will come out the end here onto this in a way that looks believable. I haven't done that bit yet, and that's one of the things I've got to think about. The other thing, which I had a number of people mention to me in the last video, and that was John Dye and Ian from Ian's Engage, which is something that I just hadn't given any thought to. But as soon as they both mentioned it, of course, the answer was, oh, of course you've got to do it, which is to put lights on the footbridge, because otherwise, other than in broad daylight, it would be very difficult, not to say positively dangerous, to try and walk across the footbridge in the pitch black. So I thought, oh well, that's another thing that I'm going to have to give my mind to. How on earth am I going to get lighting onto the footbridge? And as I was rootling around in my little drawer of LEDs and things, it's amazing serendipity. This fell out. Let's get this into focus, which is one of the street lamps that I used in Bagshot Terrace and Longbottom Terrace to actually give lights to the rows of terraced houses. And I honestly, by the time it fell out and hit the table, a fully formed plan was in my mind, because I remembered that this has a 40mm long piece of tube through which the wires pass that go up to an LED, which obviously sits up in the top there. And the base, you can fix whatever level you want for what you want to do with the lamp. Now this was just much too big, I thought, to actually, and in any event it would be casting light in all directions. And I think I'm making up my mind whether I put both lights on one side of the footbridge or one on one side and one on the other, so that the light is shining away from the line over which it's sitting. But I'll see. It may be that I don't need to worry too much about that. However, as I was saying, this is falling to the desk, and it occurred to me that this tube only fits into the top here, as you can see, and it's 40mm long. And I'd already had in my mind that the lights that would be sitting on top of the bridge wouldn't need to be too tall. They would need to be out the way and high enough to give a decent arc of light underneath them. So probably no more than, say, 10 foot high, which rather handily, of course, is 20mm. So if I could strip one of these tubes off and cut it in half, I would have my two lamp posts. And the lamps that I'd bought to go on the outside of the building, I've got more than enough. I may not actually use these, but they put on there, that works an absolute treat. And of course it shields light if a train is coming from behind. So I'm trying to work out how I will do it so that I have probably one lamp about here. Trying to do this. So one lamp about here, and the other lamp will be somewhere like that, say. And I think that probably, I may maybe take them a bit further apart. That probably will work quite well. But it's just thinking how I feed the wires. Although it may be that the idea that I had, that I wanted to put something on to hold this down, if I can use some kind of channel which would feed the wires through, that would also act to give the strength that I want to straighten this out. So it's a case of just at the moment letting all those things go through my head. So I'm going to go away, get this to the point where I've got it painted up and ready to start receiving other bits. And and probably I won't come back until I've actually got the deck done to my satisfaction, because then I'll have to construct the stanchions that will sit underneath here and also fit the other bits on the end. But I think if I can get the brick deck done with its lighting fitted, that will also help me on this end, because obviously the wires will come in and go into the works building, of how and where I'm going to feed those so that they don't appear to be in view. So I'll come back when I've got that done, and you can see how I've done. Well, I think I've come back at the point that I promised in the last video. It's taken quite a while to do this, partly because there's an element of actually working out how I was going to build the supports and fix them. But also it was clear to me pretty quickly that I would need to paint up many things before I tried to put them together. You saw that I'd already put the deck. Soon after that, I'd mentioned that I'd taken the corner off here, and the channel that I have is just the right size to sit on top. So if I bring this up, you'll see that on top of the girder there is the channel's gone on top, and I've painted it black because most bridges during the Second World War were painted black to stop them being seen from the air, and I didn't think this really would have been repainted back into any other colours, but I did put something approximating LNER green so that it picks up what's on the front of the depot. The structure at the end, I put some supports in. God, that was fiddly. The first one's easy because it's a single straight piece that obviously goes diagonally, but all the other pieces are stick to that essentially, so they have to be cut and sort of finagled into place, but I think it looks all right. And then when I put the stairs to attach, I realized that the only point of contact was going to be right at the top there, which was never going to be enough. So I put some cross bracing in, which is probably, it probably would be done differently, but it does the job. That is nice and solid now. And when I finished, I was keen to know, oh yes, on the other end, the frame has been made and put on, and then I attached a piece of strip styrene bar to this flat piece here, and the strip styrene bar slides into the webbing of the H and then all glues together to keep that at a right angle. And that's worked rather well, because when I'd finished I wanted just to see whether the thing was level, and I'll put a photograph up here that I took with a photographer's spirit level that I have, just to see whether it was level, and rather pleasingly it was, or is, because it hasn't changed overnight. You'll see the lights are, this is the deck that's going to go on, and rather handily these wires are so thin that I think I'll be able to fit this in and run the wires across underneath this, but above the ribs of the deck, and I think it will all sit quite nicely once that's done. So all that's left for me to do now, he said airily, is I've got to put the deck on. I need to put some fencing at the edge here, and I need to work out how to put the walkway that will connect the bridge into the works. I think, and I just need to check this, that rather handily this bar here, if I bring it into focus, this bar here is just at the right height, so I can put a piece of card or as a walkway and rest it on the cross member, and that will be the right height to go into the works. And then I'm making my mind up actually whether I would have the stairs as I was suggesting, or just do it as a slope, because there's no need for stairs. It could quite just as easily be a slope coming out of the works up to the deck. So I'll make my mind up about that. And then once that's done, the bridge will be built. And I hope the next time you see the bridge, it will be in place and with its lights on. As I promised, here is the bridge in its position. You've just seen some footage that I took with the blind down to give a bit of light, so you can see the lights as a whole, and you can begin to see that we're starting to get light into this area. Although I have to say, I was expecting that to all come from this being lit, not the footbridge, when I first set out on doing the footbridge. It's quite tricky to get the camera in to show you, so I took a little bit of footage which just shows the bridge from track level going into the front of the works here, and in the end what I decided to do was that the deck went on and is fixed at that end, but is not otherwise fixed, and it's sitting on the wires which sit on the ribs underneath. And then they pass down here and come out through that slit that I was talking about, where I've attached this square of card here, and I'll put an image up here where you can see the wires going into here, but underneath that piece of card. And I'll put another image up now looking down on the piece of card, which is cut so that it goes in a stepped shape to bring the bridge into exactly the right position for the depth, and then it fits snugly in, and it's absolutely the right height. And I couldn't be more pleased, because I'm really pleased to see that the train's going underneath, not least, of course, that they do indeed pass underneath and don't carry the bridge off with it. I've really enjoyed making this. It's taken a lot of time, partly because I was having to work out how to do things and think about them, because I made sure I painted everything before I put it in, and it all got a final lick of black paint once I'd finished, because it doesn't matter how many times you paint this stuff, you always find another white bit. And I've just seen another one. I thought I'd completed them all. doesn't matter. It can have a little, that's easy to get at. But I'm really pleased with that. That's in place. The wires have gone on to the distribution board underneath. So I chose one of the hottest days in Scotland in years to crawl around under the layout, but that's all gone in. So, and the good thing is that what I've also installed below is a bar that will give me the 12-volt feed from which is taken to the distribution board, and the other lights now I've got nothing to install underneath except to wire the individual lights in, which I will be doing. And the plan of attack from now on is to get this finished, because now that I've got all the bits for it and now that the bridge is done, the next thing will be to put the LEDs in along the top and to fit the arc lighting unit and the red glow unit into their positions. And then I need to build some ends for this, and for this top half at the back here, yes, I need to put something in there, because the bottom half of course will be covered in by the control panel. So that's what I'm going to be doing. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by a sneeze, that's what I'm going to be doing for the remainder of July. So I want to get to the point where this is finished, and with all the lights in and it all wired in, because in August I will start work on the control panel. I've had everything back now, all the bits that I need for it, and I can really start work on getting that control panel done, because once I've got the control panel done, I can actually start using the layout in a much better way, or at all, because at the moment none of the points will work because it's not wired into anything. So that's I'm looking forward to getting on with that, because if you may remember, that's what I was going to do months and months ago, but then I would never have built this, and I just have enjoyed so much building this, and particularly the bridge. I really like the bridge. I'm very pleased with it. So update on the baseboards for the underground layout. Very kindly, the person that's building the baseboards for me, he had a JPEG from Rail Modeler Pro, which unfortunately doesn't export in any other form, and he was trying to work out the 3D images from that. In the end, he put it into any rail, which does export in a way in which can just take straight into the CAD designer. CAD designer? Yes, computer aided designer. You know what I mean. So the next thing, he showed it to me. I'm entirely happy with it. He's now going to go away and produce the 3D images for me to approve, and once they're approved, he can then get on with cutting the baseboards and getting them to me. So that's all very very good. So that's quite exciting, and I will go off now, and well, I may have a bit of a rest and a cold drink, but apart from that, I'll go off and we'll start work on putting the rest of the lighting in there and working out how I'm going to attach ends and something approximating a roof onto here. And by the time you come back next week, in 2 weeks time, I want to have this completely finished, because I really do want to be able to turn my attention to the control panel. So that's it for this episode. If you've liked the episode, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please do, because there's the control panel build. There is going to be more buildings put along the side here to give a bit more light into this front, and at some point there will be new baseboards, and starting to think about planning out the street scene that will sit above the underground layout. so I'm going to have plenty to show you over the coming years. But if you have any comments, please do let me have your comments. 2 comments from the last video from Ian and John have, that bridge is so much better with lights on it, and it never occurred to me to put lights on it, and I would have made it all and put it all in and then thought, oh dear, you should have put lights on it. So thank you both to Ian and John for asking the question, and until I speak to you again in about 2 weeks time, that's bye bye from me. Bye bye.